Hey, Jimbo, you ready to go?
Fire in the hole.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, friends and neighbors. Time once again for the Cowboys of the Osage podcast with your host, Jimbo Snively and Cody Garnett. Now let's sing a little bit about it. Cowboys of the Osage, riding once again. Always got some time for a friend. And here they are, the Cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast. Brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum and the Buck and Flamingo Turquoise Shop, both located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Hey, it's old Cody over here, and as always, I have my main man with me, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, songwriting dude too, Jimbo Snively. Morning, Jimbo. Good to see you. Who do we have today?
Hey, Cody boy, it's another great day in the Osage, man. And Cody, you know we've had world champion cowboys on here before, and we've had a movie star or two, but I don't think we've ever had both at the same time.
No.
And, of course, I'm talking about Mr. Kenny Call. He was 1978 world champion steer roper. He went to like 9 national finals steer roping. He was also a great calf roper. He won Fort Worth in calf roping, finished 16th in the world 2 or 3 times, just almost made the finals. And a bulldogger, team roper, just a great all-around roper, timed event guy. And then he got into acting, and he was in Silverado and some TV. Probably the greatest show I've ever seen, Western or any other thing, is Lonesome Dove. That's everybody's favorite. And he was in that. And he's a good friend with Ben Johnson. And we're going to get into all that today. And we're just tickled to have him all the way from California. And Kenny, welcome to the Cowboys of the Osage podcast.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be there.
Well, it's an honor for us to have you. Where'd you grow up at, Kenny?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I forgot to add, you were an Okie too,
Yeah, I'm a bona fide Okie.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Oklahoma?
I was born in Oklahoma City and raised around Enid, Oklahoma.
Raised around Enid. Huh.
Yeah.
One of them roping Okies we always talk about,
another roping
Jimbo.
Okie. I know it. He's an acting Okie too. Enid, Oklahoma. Who are some of the ropers from out in there that might have influenced you, Kenny?
Well, my dad, basically, that's where I learned to rope through him, and then a lot of ropers, throughout my life influenced me and helped me, there's all of them, I can't think of one that, I could name roper from any of that area.
Right.
Well, the only one that I can remember a few out there that I rodeoed with and stuff when I first started was like Leonard Hampton, and I traveled around him some, and then he was from Dodge City, Kansas, and then Wesley Madison, he was from up there around Woodward, I think. And
Hamptons, they had an indoor arena there in Dodge City, didn't they?
Well, not when I was going, they didn't.
Not when you were going.
They had a little one up there in Alba we went to a few times, I think, when I first started out there. And anyway, I'm sure I'll forget some of them guys that kind of was around there when I first started.
The only guy I can remember from Oklahoma City, I don't know why I remember him, he's just a real nice guy. He was a lot older than you, was Ab Deacon. Did you ever know him?
Yeah, I knew him. He was there at Stockyards. See, my dad worked at Stockyards there forever.
Yeah.
And so I knew Ab Deacon. I remember one year at Cheyenne, Ab had a horse who got colic, and I had a young horse up there that needed a lot of riding.
Right.
And he was out there walking his horse because he was colicking. And I told him, when I saddled that horse up, I gave him Dab and said, just go ahead and lead that horse on this one. And so they led that horse, I guess, all night on that young horse.
Yeah, I remember him well when I was a little kid. He was sure a nice guy.
Yeah.
But,
he owned the mission company there at Oklahoma City there for a long time.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
What did your dad do there at the stockyards, Kenny?
He worked for National there at the stockyards. He just worked there at the stockyards. He worked for damn, I got a call for some reason. And while he was there, he got too old to work for them. They had to, Trent Martin over there, he was kind of running national there at the end, you know. Yeah. Rusty. What's Martin's name there from Chakota? What was his name?
Rusty.
Rusty or
yeah.
Rusty Martin?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was running the national deal there, and they had to fire my dad because he got too old. And Dad's walking out there, and Glenn Payne saw him and said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I got fired." And he said, "No, you didn't." He said, "You're going to work for me." So he went to work for Central Halliburton. He worked for Glenn Payne there.
He wasn't unemployed very long, was he?
No, he never even got off the yards.
What did he do for Halliburton?
Well, just same thing he did for National. He just kind of helped set them cattle up, run them cattle to the field and stuff.
Yeah, cool. Huh. You start off in the junior rodeos and stuff, Kenny? Or?
Well, I went to some junior rodeos, and not a lot of them. You know, I went to a few, and then I remember one year this kid wanted to go down to the AJRA rodeos, and we went down there to them one summer, and that was the only junior rodeos I ever went to.
Right.
Went to a few of them, and then I went to high school. I went to high school rodeo at Delaware, Oklahoma one time, and got over there. And you remember Harry Straw?
Sure.
Well, Harry, he was over there, and I was in the bulldog and cave up, and I had a horse I could bulldog on, but I didn't really want to ride him because this other kid was roping calves on him. And so I asked Harry if there's any bulldog horses there, and he said, "Yeah, there's one here." And so he hauled his daughter was riding this little horse, and these two girls was riding this little horse down there, come riding up there, had this kid saddle on him. And I said, "That's a bulldog horse." He said, "Well, you've been riding Square Garden." And I said, "Well, I guess he'd go here." So I rode him and shook Webster Hayes for me, and I won the bulldog in it. At that high school deal, and placed the cage open one elk ramp. I remember that.
Yeah. You mostly calf rope and bulldog early, and then got into steer roping later, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I got in that. Well, Randy Moore kind of helped me get into that. I was down at Ray Wharton's. I lived down by Ray, and I was roping at Ray Wharton's all the time. And Randy come down there, and that's the first time I ever got to tripping steers. Randy was down in his time, got the time steers, and I got to open some steers breakaway and stuff down there.
About what year would that have been, Kenny?
That would have been in the 60s.
Yeah.
Late 60s.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember what year I started rope steers. It was in the 70s, I think, when I started rope steers.
What year did you win Fort Worth in cat roping?
1970.
1970.
Yeah, the reason I remember that so well, Charlie Throckmorton, he called me one time. He said, "Hey, Kenny," he said, Fort Worth was going on at that time. He says, "Who won the calf roping 50 years ago here at Fort Worth?" And I knew I'd won it, but I didn't know what year it was. I said, "I guess that'd be me." I didn't realize it's been 50 years. It's been 50 years since I won the calf roping.
Hard to believe it's 50 years, huh?
I just couldn't believe it. I was like,
we were just talking about 1990 model pickups being over 30 years old.
I
just
know,
a minute
that's
ago.
crazy. Time sure, yeah, crazy. But,
I mean, that's unreal.
what do you remember about winning the calf roping at Fort Worth?
They paid big money.
Big money.
For a country boy, that's big money.
What were the calves like then?
Well, they weighed probably 300.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to let them shoulder the post. I remember that. And you had to go. Well, I was the last person. I won San Antonio one year, and I was probably the last person to ever win San Antonio and leg both calves.
Yeah. Huh.
That was in the 60s, in the late 60s.
Right. Well, sometimes that's quicker. That's quicker than going around there and straining and taking 2 or 3 tries at flanking one, you know.
Okay. Well, I like both calves at San Antonio one, and I'm probably the last person to ever do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
calves get smaller ever since then.
Oh, what do you think
I
about
remember.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I bet used to them bull riders and stuff all show up to watch the calf open there because the calves would eat about half the guys.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that something? A little different now, isn't it?
Oh, it's a different world now. I can't even. It's a whole different world.
Yeah. I bet you carried 2 strings, too. You had a spare in your belt, too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Why do the guys not carry 2 strings anymore?
Well, because I ain't got time. It's like Ronnie Seawalk said one time. I think it was always up at Lewiston, Idaho. He ran down there and he spiked this calf and went to string. He misstrung him and he just threw his hands up there and they flagged him.
Yeah.
He come back up there and he said, "How come you didn't tie that calf?" He said, "Oh, it's fast. I didn't have time to."
But, you know, Tough Cooper got flagged out this year because he lost his string, and he was still in the average, and the buzzer got him out there at the NFR because he finally got the cab, and then he didn't have his string. But
I was trying to think who it was. I think it was Eldon Dudley. I'm thinking if I remember right, at Cheyenne one year, he goes out there and trips the steer and goes out of time. He don't have no strings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it might be, it's either P.K. Hardy or Eldon Dudley. I can't remember. It was one of them guys. I remember.
Yeah.
I steered in no strings.
I know. That'd be kind of a helpless feeling, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Me and Jimbo watched old Taylor Santos this year tie a steer with his belt over in Claremore at the rodeo.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You wouldn't think the belt would be long enough, but he made it work.
They said it just barely long enough to get that tip through for the hooey, and that sucker stayed tied.
He stayed tied up.
He tied him pretty quick, too.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah.
For using his belt.
Right, for using his belt. The world record for
Cody,
belt.
I remember you. What was your sister's name?
My sister's Chancey.
Kathy?
Chancey.
I remember you two kids going to them ropings around there when y'all was little. I mean, y'all was the wildest 2 little kids I think I ever saw.
Well, yeah.
And y'all was all everywhere. You was over the grandstands, you was under the grandstands, you was over the carnival, you was everywhere. But the thing of it was, everybody there knew who y'all was, and everybody watched you.
He knew who he belonged to, didn't he?
Everybody there knew who y'all were, and everybody took care of y'all.
Yeah, they said one year, I forgot who was backing in the box at Guyman at the rodeo, and I found an old Christmas tree somewhere, and I guess I poked his horse in the ass with the Christmas tree, Jimbo. Right for it, not Kenny, but it was another guy.
It wouldn't surprise me anything you did, Cody.
That was the wildest 2 kids I ever saw around here.
Well, heck, when I was growing up, heck, they had a guy named Buddy Heaton. He was my babysitter there for a while, right when he got out of prison.
Buddy Heaton, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he lived with my grandparents.
He was a legend himself. Ben Johnson told me a story of Buddy Heaton. Slim Pickens brought him out here, I guess, when he had that buffalo or something.
Uh-huh.
And they brought him out here. They were going to use that buffalo in a show, and they had this buffalo up on top of a hill. And Ben said that Slim and Heaton was hiding behind the hill, so you could film this buffalo standing up there. And he said, every time he'd say action, get to going down there, he said, Heaton is standing up there and wave.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There's a lot of Buddy Heaton stories.
Needless to say, he didn't make it in the movies.
It was in the How the West Was Won.
Yeah.
How the Western.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. How the West Was Won. He was a Pony Express rider, old Buddy.
Oh yeah.
That was his biggest.
That
was his biggest film credit, I think.
One and only.
My dad told the story of Heaton when way back when, I guess. Daddy used to ride racehorses up there. Kind of a brush track deal there up there in North Oklahoma City, there at Capitol Hill or Nichols Hill. And they had this racehorse up there, and Heaton, they got a match race with him. And they come up there, and Heaton's big, and he's going to ride this racehorse. The guy said, "Look toward this Heaton." He said, "Huh? He's big, he's going to ride his horse bareback." And they lined up and they took off. Heaton just jumped up on his knees, right on his horse's back, and rode him on his knees.
Nice.
That was a race down through there. It was a straightaway race,
Yeah. Yeah, he was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What about old Slim Pickens?
I just met him once. I didn't really ever know him that good. I met him. That's all I remember about him. I remember Heaton one time there. When he came out of Canada, he came back down out of Canada, and he had that buffalo. And Leonard Hampton knew him pretty good, a lot better than I did. I didn't know him. I was with Leonard, and we walked across there, and Heaton hollered at Leonard to come over and help him. So we walked over, and he had this buffalo there, and he's trying to take that draw bit off of it. And so Leonard wouldn't get down and do it. So I got down on my knees here, and I was trying to untie that damn knot. Heaton kept hitting that buffalo on the head, and I kept trying to untie that knot. And that buffalo kept hooking at us. I finally got it all undone, but I look back on it now. If I'd been smart, I'd just cut the damn thing, walked off. Yeah. But I didn't.
Did you ever rope a buffalo, Kenny?
No, I never did rope one. I had some of them chase me when I was picking up rodeos. Some of them get after you, two different times I had buffalo chase me.
You touched on Randy Moore there a while ago. Tell us about Randy Moore and what he meant to you.
Well, if it hadn't been for Randy Moore, he probably would have won a championship. I mean, he basically, he kind of helped me get started down at Ray Wharton's where I started roping steers at. And then later on, I really got in with him, I guess, Peppy McKinney. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Yeah.
He wanted to buy that black horse with Kelly Corbin's. And so he's going to buy him and he's going to give me that horse to haul for him, so he can ride him once in a while. And so I said, yeah, I'll do that. And then the next thing I know, Randy calls. Him and Peppy were real close, And Randy says, Peppy ain't going to buy that horse, but I want you to come up here and ride mine, So I went up and started riding Randy's horses. And he entered the Mountain Man, all them ropings and stuff there for years. And like I said, if it hadn't been for Randy, I probably never would have won a championship.
He was a good guy. I knew him, Jimbo.
Yeah, I remember him well.
He roped way up until he was real old, too. Mm-hmm. Old Randy Moore did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He started that senior roping deal.
Yeah, he started the Senior Steer Roping Association. Mm-hmm. He won the Ben Johnson here, too.
Yeah, way back when. Yeah, he won that one year.
Yeah. He entered Kenny, and he entered Uncle Joe, and he entered Olin Young a lot, and stuff. Yeah. Sure did.
Yeah, well, when I started roping with him, he entered Olin and me, basically, when Joe, I think, he quit by that time.
Yeah.
Quit.
Yeah. What was it like winning that world championship?
Well, it was didn't really seem like that much at the time, but it seemed a whole lot bigger than it.
Yeah.
Today,
you'll always be a world champion. They can't take that away from you.
Yeah, but it was just another roping, at the time.
Right. That was at Laramie, right?
Yeah, but it was actually it cost that deal in 77, 78. They had that crazy deal we had to win at the finals or something.
Right.
And that cost me a championship in 77 because I didn't win the finals and I didn't win the deal, but I was like second at both of them. But I had more money won that year than anybody. 77, so I could have won two if they hadn't changed it all around.
Wow.
78, I won most money in both deals too, but 77 both those years. But that cost me a championship with no big deal anymore, but don't matter.
No. I remember in 72 they had the finals here at Pawhuska, and you roped in that. And do you remember those big cattle that Schote furnished that year?
Oh yeah.
Cody Hayden. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I was telling Cody Schote roped them over to his jackpot at Lenapaw in July, 1st of July, and then he turned them out all year on grass, and then got them up for the finals there in September here at Pawhuska.
Woo.
Big old fleshy steers.
Mm-hmm. I remember that first year I ran there at that finals that year, riding Kelly's black horse.
Right.
Hell of a horse. Well, I ran that steer way off down there and roped him and tripped him, and Randy, all he ever told me was look forward when you got off, Well, I roped him up just enough steer to know that I could walk off the ass of that horse, be fine, sort of scores and stuff, no speed. Well, anyway, I had a lot of speed up. I was looking back, and I stepped off that horse looking backwards, And the first thing it hit was my feet, and then the next thing hit my back of my head. And I was just rolling backwards, and I was there on my hands and knees looking at this steer, and he looked like he's coming 900 miles an hour at me. I jumped up to run away from him. And he said, "Whoop, he's going that way." So I went the other way. I got the steer tied, and I went back up there, and Merle Davis was sitting there. Of course, I kind of knew Merle from rodeo, you know.
Yeah.
And Merle was sitting there, and I walked over and I said, "Merle," I said, "God damn, Merle, I thought this was an old man's bitch."
Yeah.
That second jerk will send you sailing sometimes if you're not ready for it, won't it?
Oh, yeah. He laughed. He thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, those are some big old slick steers now. I remember them well. They were full, too. They didn't draw them down like they do now.
Merle Davis, that's a historic name around here. That's patriarch of that Davis clan over there on the west side of Osage County.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Merle made the very first national finals in the steer rope.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people don't remember, but he at Cheyenne one year, I think he won the bull roping and the steer roping and placed in the calf roping all on the same horse.
Wow.
You know, the whole time I was growing up, he ran the chute up there at Cheyenne. He was the guy that opened the head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, him and Dooley Dan. I'd ride in that box and I'd look at him. I'd say, "You think I can get by this one?" And he'd look at him and he'd say, "Yeah, I think you can handle this one."
Well, then, of course, his son, Jim Davis, two-time world champion, and then his grandson, Bryce Davis, PRCA average winner at the finals. And I don't even know how many times he's made the finals. Now he's a veteran now. He's
and
getting old.
Lee roped pretty good, too.
Yeah, Lee roped good, too.
Good.
Yeah, I remember Lee roping good the whole time growing up.
Right.
I'd see him around at all kinds of rodeos and jackpots.
Right. You bet.
Well, Bryce and Gary Good's, Charles Good, Gary Good's son. I forget what his name is. But anyway, there's two little kids. They're about the same age. And we was down in Fort Worth one year. And they'd run around there and playing, you know. So I went in this gift shop and they had these rubber band guns. So I bought 2 rubber band guns and a whole handful of rubber bands for them and give them each rubber band and them 2 guns, turned them loose in that hotel lobby. And they were shooting that place up, and their mom was coming down there, and boy, they were trying to take them guns away from them. And they went down, no, Kenny, give us these guns. You can't have them. They got the rubber bands away from them. They couldn't get the guns.
Yeah. Did you know Larry Dugan? Very good, Kenny. From out there.
Yeah, I love that. I know.
He'd do stuff like that. He would find a kid riding his dad's horse around, warming him up, girl or boy, whatever, and he'd go give him a sucker. And he told me years and years later why he did that, and he said, "Boy, those guys would be sure mad at me because they'd have their whole saddle, swell, saddle horn, rope, everything be sticky with that sucker." It just cracked me up.
How many times you roped here to Ben Johnson? Do you remember, Kenny?
Oh, I don't know, a bunch.
I remember one time I was standing right there at the gate when you set the arena record here at Puska. You remember that? What did you tie that steer in?
9 something.
I know, that was quite a deal.
Wow, on that big score?
Yeah.
9 seconds.
I drove the lollipop steer. He just kind of loped out there. He didn't really run that hard.
Right. You still had to do it, though. But
yeah, he was just. That steer just. You know, it was just lollipop. You know, what can I say?
But
I think I remember right that steer come around, hit on his feet, and I kind of clucked that horse I was on, and he just went on, and that steer fell down. Then.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I know I was standing right there. But you didn't just break the record; you demolished it, because I think probably 12 or 13 was part of the record before that. Back then, you know, might have been 11, but there sure hadn't been no 10s or 9s. I know that.
As far as I know, it's still standing. That's the only one I got that still stands.
Yeah.
I set 3 arena records that I'm really kind of proud of. I was the first person to ever tie calves in 10. I was 10 flat at Calgary, Alberta. And just roped my calves on the cows.
Yeah.
And that was pretty, I remember that record. And then I won arena record at Cheyenne. And I was
and calves?
14. No, on the steer.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, Sonny Davis tied a steer in 15 at Cheyenne. Boy, that was the talk of the steer roping community there for a while.
Mm-hmm. I was 14 flat.
Talk about Sonny Davis a little bit, Kenny. He's quite a hand.
He was, yeah, me and Olin was really tight, and
Right.
Sonny never would say much, and I didn't think Sonny ever really cared for me that much. And then one year I was up there somewhere, and I went over and asked him about everybody's care for us. And he said, "Oh, you bet, get on him," And he was just really turned out to be a really great friend of mine.
Yeah, I liked him.
But he never would say a whole lot,
Right.
He's pretty quiet.
I often wonder just what he would tie these steers in today that they're roping.
Oh Lord, I mean, it's like, well, I don't know. It's a joke to me to watch the time events, all of them, bulldogging and the tripping and the calf roping, all of them. It's just a joke to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it sure changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not to take anything away from the winners.
No, not at all.
Because the winners today still figure out how to win, whatever is doing today.
Yeah, sure, right.
I'm not taking anything away from the guys that's winning, but
No.
I'm just saying it's just a whole different game.
Right, it sure is. You can't even compare them.
The horses that we used to win money on, and the calf rope and steer rope both. I mean, you couldn't win a nickel on them today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just too much horse.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It's a little different ball game today now. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
It seems like a lot of it goes back to they want everything the same for every cowboy. Every cowboy wants the same equal chance to win. They're wanting to take out some of the variables like the stock draw and a few other things out of it, which, was always part of rodeoing, but they're trying to take as much out of that as possible, it seems like.
Well, it's all one header now. Everything's a one header. That's what, I mean, even like Cheyenne, if you qualify in a short round, it's a one header. I mean, to make the finals, it all goes back to this one head.
Yeah, the average that's out the window once you make it to the short round now.
Yeah, it's just a one head roper. And to me, I don't like one headers, but anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Right.
That $2 buy you a cup of coffee in some places.
Yeah, I like the average. I like watching an average. And,
And a guy rope like at Cheyenne, he ties his first two down and leading everybody. He ought to get some credit for that going into that last steer instead of just starting over, to me. But
yeah, me too. I mean, we're old school though. What can I say?
I guess I know it.
I liked it when they took the steers you got by back to the short round. They took
Well,
all your
right.
steers, and if you got by a bad one and made it to the short round, someone might have to draw him in the short round and run him.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different world.
What do you think about the money now, Kenny?
Well, that's good. I mean, anytime you win money,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what. I guess some of them guys, win 100,000 or whatever. Now I tell you what, if you want to talk about money, if you want to rope today for money, you got a team rope.
Yeah.
I mean, if a person wants to go rope for money, you have to team rope. That's about it. Because calf rope, steer rope don't pay that much anymore. Comparatively to go out to team rope and win. I mean, like you go to Vegas and win $100,000 and, catch 3 steers, whatever,
Right.
There's 2 boys from here, Jimbo. They won $200,000 a piece out there
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a, who ever thought that, Of course, back in our day, as you win your money in calf rope and steer ropings. Steer roping was a big money ropings
Right.
back in our day.
Right.
Today it's all a team roping deal if you want to win money.
Who was some of your traveling partners, Kenny?
Oh, that's Billy Dance, Bighorn, Wyoming. I traveled Seawalk a little bit with, traveled a little bit with Barry Burt. Who else? Bob Ragsdale a little bit. I just have to think on top of my head who I traveled around the Olin some. And, with Randy Moore, we got a lot with him. Me and Peg traveled around together. Peg McIntyre, we went traveled a little bit together. Bill Montana. I don't know.
Olin, he used to braid a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Huh?
Did Olin used to do a lot of braiding?
Oh, yeah. Him and Sonny, they braided all the time. They was always braiding something.
They take them old ropes apart, Jimbo, and braid those little bitty strands, kind of like they do rawhide braiding now. It was real intricate, some of it. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. They could do all kinds of fancy stuff at braiding. Olin used to tie up his own ropes, you know, make them all straight and everything.
And Pake McIntyre, you mentioned Pake. I can't imagine a guy. He won Pendleton left-handed and won Ben Johnson right-handed.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that not crazy?
I helped him with his right-hand roping a little bit one time. I don't know how much I helped him. I tried to help him. I guess I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I showed him stuff to do.
Right.
He kind of seemed to help him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Seawalk could rope with both hands, too.
Yeah, I never did see him rope right-handed, but I heard he did.
Yeah, one year at Fox City, I know he had this horse that would work better when you rope right-handed than when you rope left-handed.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was at Fox City, and this announcer's up there just going on about how this left-handed roper is going to rope. Here he comes, rope the stiff right-handed.
I know Pake, when he was roping right-handed, if one would run down that left-hand fence, he sure didn't have any trouble flipping that rope over and going the other direction. That was natural for him, and boy, that would have blew my mind. Try something like that.
Oh yeah, he could do that.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I went to their house to rope, I went by there, picked Pake up, and I was going to go to a rope, I think Phoenix somewhere. Anyway, I went by there, and so we're sitting there looking at this arena, and about a quarter of the way out there was a tree in the middle of the arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clark was down there, and then about 3/4 of the way down there was another tree down there close to the other side of it. And I'm standing there looking at that arena, and I asked him, I said, what do you do if you rope a steer up there by that tree? Clark says, I believe I'd go on by it. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, somebody had
trees going.
Yeah, I know it. I've heard stories about it. Never did see it. But they said Hugh Posey roped a steer down there practice, or maybe at a roping, I don't know, but it went around the tree, and the horse went the other way, and they had a heck of a wreck.
Yeah, Clark said, I believe I'd go on by it if I was doing it.
Yeah, I would too. Huh.
Clark's funny. One time I was the first year I started ripping steers, Tuffy Thompson. He's going to enter. Well, he didn't enter me. His wife entered me as Happy. It's that trip that they had out there.
Right. Wesley Sims Memorial.
Yep.
Yeah, and so anyway, Judy entered me and Tuffy mounted me. So I go out there and I'm riding this big old sawhorse of Tuffy's and had a little hackamore thing on him. I brought this little high loping steer sloped up there, and I reached and roped this steer, and I kind of lapped up on the right-hand side of this steer. I mean, I looked at this, and I pulled up on him to let that steer get out of my way so I could turn off and trip him, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I picked up on this horse. This horse just ducked off, and he hit that steer right in the ass, knocked that steer down. I went right over the top of him. And I just kind of hold my rope up when everything was clear. And the horse wasn't over the rope or anything. I just jumped off, tied the steer. And I go end up placing in that round. And I rode back around there. And Clark McIntyre sitting there on his horse. He's still tripping steers, and he's sitting there, and I rode up there, kind of by Clark there, and Clark looked and says, "That's a pretty good run." So I says, "I think I'll just stick with the old conventional way of doing it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever open that big roping they had out there at Post?
Yeah. Yeah, I roped out there a few times. I don't remember now how many times I went out there a few times.
I know I don't remember anything about it, but I've read a lot about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never was there. I know Joe roped there a lot of times.
I went there a few.
I wonder if that arena's even still there.
I have no clue.
I haven't heard
It was way out there. It was way off the road. It was way off the road there.
Yeah, it was out in the middle of nowhere. I can't. I haven't heard nothing about it in a long time.
What's his name? Tim Prather's brother. What's his name?
Rex or Jim?
Jim. He wasn't trying to put that on, I think.
Right, yeah, Jim, yeah. I think Tim won it a time or two. Maybe. I don't know. Huh. Those are different days back then, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, yeah. What got you into the acting bug?
Well, I was wanting to do something besides rodeo, and I was kind of thinking about trying to quit, and I was going from San Antonio to Tucson with Ragsdale. Bob Ragsdale was going out there with me, and we were driving out through there, and he got to tell me about doing this print work, for this modeling deal.
Right.
And so he told me all about it. I said, that sounds like a pretty good deal, because I never did want my picture taken, But anyway, when they started taking, I found out you get paid for taking your pictures. So anyway, there was an agency there in Oklahoma City, and so he was telling me about this guy he knew there in Oklahoma City had this agency. So I got back there with my folks one day after we made that long trip. Well, I went and talked. I called that guy. He said, "Well, come over and bring your pictures and bring me a picture." So all I had was roping pictures. I went over and she said, "Well, you got to get a headshot." So I went and got a headshot, and she said, "You're photogenic." So she started me modeling, and then Randy one time was there in Dallas, and he had that headshot thing. And so he was teasing me about it. He had a date with this model, and so he's teasing me about it. Showed that gal that picture. She says, "Oh, you have to meet my agent down here." So I went in there in Dallas and met that agency. And so then I started doing some modeling work down there for them, the prep work.
Right.
And then they said, "Well, you need to take this workshop so you can do commercials, because it's a better deal." So I started doing this workshop. I started doing that workshop. This one teacher that I went to, all he could talk about was California and this and that. So I thought, well, hell, that's where you got to go. I better try that. So I called Ben Johnson and told him what I was doing, where I was at. So he said, "Get your card, and get your SAG card, and come on out." So I did. He sent me to his agent. His agent took him, oh, they was real nice to me. They took about a minute to figure out what I needed. About 5 minutes to tell me, "You go to this workshop, forget about acting until you can do something." And then, of course, I did that. And then the next thing I know, I got a movie job, go to Mexico for 10 weeks. And that was probably the biggest part I ever had in the movies. And then after that, well, I did little bit parts and little stuff parts and whatever, for all kinds of different movies and TV stuff. But then I basically, I guess you'd have to say, I did more commercials than anything. I guess they call me a commercial actor more than an actor, I guess.
You've done a lot of stuff. I used to watch, or still do watch, the Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers on satellite, and you used to do a commercial on their games all the time. What was that for? Do you remember?
Well, I did. Well, that commercial, that's the Dodger game deal. I did about 7 commercials for 7 or 8, I guess it was. And all I did was change my uniform from Dodger to New York Yankee or wherever,
Yeah.
And I did the same commercial for every one of them. I just changed my uniform and come back and do another one with a different uniform on.
Huh.
And they showed in their region, wherever it was.
I'll be darned. I used to see it on the Dodger games all the time.
Well, it was Dodgers. They did them, and then they had different areas. They do different, different ones. Like New York, they did the New York Yankees or whatever.
Huh.
But anyway, I did about 7 or 8 of those for all the same. I did them all at the same time, really.
Me and my whole family last night, we stayed up and watched Annie and Little Britches.
Oh yeah, that was my big movie. That was my favorite movie of all I ever did.
It was really, I guess, kind of loosely, but that's a true story about those 2 girls.
Annie and Little Britches, yeah.
Yeah, they were real outlaws in this area. They were here in the Indian Territory.
Yeah.
What was it?
That's my favorite show because, I always wanted to do a kind of a Western out Oklahoma, and that's the first thing I got to do.
What was it like working with Burt Lancaster?
Great. He was really great to me. He really, well, I'll tell you what he did. Probably a big compliment I had. And I didn't know nothing about movies, I just little dumb kids standing there. And I'd have these scenes with him, and stuff. And I'd go in there and we'd rehearse the scene, I'd go in there and we'd do a little dialogue, whatever it was. And then they get ready to shoot it. And they had my marker on the floor where I was supposed to walk up to, And I'd walk up there and he'd move me just a little bit over or up or back or something. He'd move me every time off of that mark. He said, "That's your mark when they see action." I said, okay. So I hit that mark, and I didn't know what he was doing. But what he was doing, he was upstaging me where I'd have a better light or better shot than him.
Huh. And he was a big star, but he did that for you.
Yeah, and he would move me up where I got a better shot at it, where I get a better look at
Yeah.
the camera and stuff.
Well, that was nice of him.
He was, and then he gave me some advice one time. He said, we did a scene one time in this thing. He was off camera. We did the master shot where I was on camera and everything. And then we come back and we was doing our close-ups. Well, I had me standing up on this ladder and he was doing his close-ups. And so we did all these scenes, the dialogue and everything. And I'm standing on the ladder when we was doing the close-ups. And so then they turned around and shoot the camera on me. And I could literally, when they had camera on me, I could literally feel him just reaching up and pulling this stuff out of me, this emotion.
Huh.
And I could literally see that, he gave me more emotion off camera than he did on camera. And after we got through with that shot, he says, I went over to him, I said, Burt, I told him what I felt, He says, I'll give you some advice. He says, I always remember when you're acting, give, don't take.
Huh.
He says, the more you give, the more you get back.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best advice I ever had as that actor. And he said, and the script supervisor gave me some big tip on that show too. Was sitting there in this room one day, and I had one little line in this whole scene. Everybody had different dialogue,
Right.
Dialogue was going for there. And Diane Lane, they come in there and threw her in this little basket, and I picked her up, and said something. Anyway, we did this whole scene, and I'm about halfway through the deal. I'm sitting there, and it's hot, sweaty in this building. And I'm kind of, all of a sudden, I'm wondering what they're doing outside, And this script supervisor come over to me and says, Kenny, he says, just remember this. He says, whenever you hear action, he says, you're not Kenny Call no more. You're George Waitman. I don't know what his character's name. He says, you're George Waitman. He said, don't ever forget that. So ever since then, whenever I'm on a show or doing anything like that, they say action, I'm that character. I'm not nowhere else. I'm me. I'm right into that scene. And that's two of the best advice I ever had as an actor.
Did you rope that pig in that movie? Was that you? I couldn't tell who roped it. Someone healed a pig and said, I got supper tonight, boys.
That's me. That was James Allen. I knew I was going to get busted off on that deal. And I was sitting on this little hill, I had a little hill, and I had all the pigs running there. And I roped that pig with Buck Taylor, and other actor, Red, was standing behind me, kind of over there, And so I roped this pig, and this horse I was on every morning. They'd be on this horse. I'd have to rope him around because he'd kind of crow hop around there a little bit. So I kind of have to rope him around and get the edge off of it. Well, then I sit on this hill. This is at night, and I'm sitting on this hill. I'm getting ready to rope this pig, and I'm going to have to pull that pig up in the saddle. And I told Buck, and I told the other guy, I said, whenever I rope that pig and start pulling this horse up there, y'all be on your toes because they ain't going to tell which way I'm going or how fast I'm going to be going. But I'm going to be going somewhere real fast. Big whip by there, and I roped that pig, and I reached down as far as I could, grabbed that rope, and I pulled that pig up, and that pig hit that horse in the shoulder, and I was never untracked. I couldn't believe it. I never saw a horse you could pull a pig up the saddle with you, squealing, and the horse never unmoved.
It was a great heel shot he threw on that pig too, Jimbo.
On a deal like that, did they furnish your horses for you, or did you bring your favorite horse or what? Yeah.
No, they furnish horses.
There was a bunch of roping stairs there. Oh, sorry.
There's a turtle horse. I was up riding there. He's a little turtle horse. So, James Allen, he saw me after that movie. I guess he saw that movie. He said, how many times did you have to rope that pig before you caught him? I said, well, you saw it. I roped him.
Yeah.
I never would tell him that I took more than one loop at him.
It was slick, Jimbo. I'm not even kidding you. I was like, oh, did you see that? Was that him? Rewind that.
Yeah. Well, you were in Silverado, too. That was a big Western.
Yeah. So, I played chess with John Cleese.
Yeah. Kevin Costner was in that, too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was
he remember
like?
Kevin. Oh, he's good. I hadn't seen him really since then, but that time we were sitting there, Kevin Costner's story on that show was sitting out there, and it's cold down there in Santa Fe, and we were sitting in this little house, and I had this barrel there with fire. And so me and him sitting out there in his house, it's the two of us, and he's sitting there talking, rattling on. And he's got his feet up on that fire, and all of a sudden his pant leg gets on fire. And I said, your pants on fire? And he's kept talking. I said, your pants on fire? And he just kept talking. Third time I said, "Your pants leg's on fire." He finally looked down and he went, "Oh," jumped up and went putting that fire out. And he says, "God damn," he said, "you didn't get very excited, did you?" And I said, "Well, it wasn't my pants."
Try telling him.
Try to tell him what more do you want.
It wasn't my pants leg.
Yeah. That had Scott Glenn in it too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Little Britches and Cattle Annie or whatever. He was in that too.
Yeah, he was in that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him from Urban. He was the bad guy in Urban Cowboy.
I almost had that part, but the only reason I didn't get it was because Scott came in there and he knew the director from New York. That's the only reason I didn't get that part. I was supposed to have that part.
Wow, that'd been a good part.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo and we did a podcast with old Barry Corbin from that movie.
Oh yeah.
Were you ever around Barry Corbin much?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know him pretty well. I know him. Yeah, I know Barry a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably more than a lot of them.
Right.
He seems like a good fella. Did you stay in contact with Scott Glenn or anything?
No, I haven't seen. Well, I've seen Scott at a film festival one time since then.
I remember him from like Heroes Have Always Been Cowboys with Ben Johnson.
Yeah. How'd you meet Ben Johnson, or how'd that connection work?
Well, John Miller, basically.
Yeah.
John, of course, I've known John since we was like 14 years, 15 years old, I guess. Was open junior open there at Paul Escus. That's how I met John. So I've known John ever since then. He wrote kids there. And then when I started doing this print job stuff, I called John and got Ben's number, and then called Ben and told him where I was at and what I was doing. And he said, "Well, this is what you got to do." So I went to California, and Ben, he just kind of became my father out there and kind of took care of me. And I remember I was doing this workshop deal, and they wanted me to take this voice lesson. And so I called Ben whenever, I had questions, And so I called Ben and told him they wanted me to take this voice lesson. He said, "Well, let me ask you something." He says, "They going to give you a job when you get done?" I said, "Well, no, I don't know. Not that I know of." And he says, "God damn," the only time he ever cussed me, he says, "God damn it, I told you not to let them some bitches change you, and I don't let them change you."
Did y'all have a place to rope out there or anything, Kenny?
Yeah, I roped there at Phil Rollins, that arena there. I stayed at Phil Rollins and roped there a lot. And then I roped a little bit over at Rudy Uglin's there, where Ben used to work there. Well, after I went out there, Ben, he sent me over to Rudy Uglin's to kind of get to know those guys, and I did. And then I got to hanging out there with Phil Rollins, but he roped caves and stuff, and we roped caves there at Phil's one time.
There was quite a few good cowboys and ropers from out in that area, wasn't there?
Well, yeah, at different times. One time I guess Newhall was like the kind of a cowboy. It's kind of a cowboy deal there. One time, all them old cowboys back in the old days.
Yeah.
Actually, Ike Rude, I guess that's where he trained old Baldy up there at that arena where Phil had.
Yeah, I knew he lived in California for a while.
That's where he trained old Baldy, was right there in that arena that Phil had. I forget who owned it when Ike was out there, but Phil didn't own it then. But I forget what their name was now. But anyway, that's the same arena that he had, that Phil had. Old Baldy was counted.
Yeah, you don't think of California as cowboy country, but boy, it has been over the years.
Well, yeah, there's some, it's not like, it's a real cowboy deal, but they're not, back in those days, there was more cowboys.
Sure.
Because Will Rogers was out there. Andy Arabia, he showed me a telegram one time that Will Rogers had seen him. I guess Andy was in Chicago, and he had this calf horse or something that he needed some money to sell him. And Will Rogers heard about it, and he was in California, so he sent Andy Arabia a telegram, and I read the telegram. He showed me a telegram. It says, "Don't sell whatever his horse's name was. Bring him home. I'll give you $1,500 for him." Of course, that was back in the 20s or 30s, or whatever it was.
Right. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, $1,500. He said, "Bring the horse home. I'll give you $1,500." And Andy said he brought him home and took him over to Will Rogers' place and gave him the money and says, "Anytime you want this horse, you know where he's at. Just come get him." He said, "I'd go to a rodeo. I'd pick him up, take him to the rodeo,
right.
take him back."
Tell folks about Andy Riggy. A lot of people might not know who he was, Kenny.
Well, Andy was I guess he won the steer roping in Cheyenne. And
world champion steer roper.
And he won the world steer roping at Cheyenne one year, which I never knew that till later on.
Right.
But he was a stock contractor more than anything out here when I got to know him. It was around him. And he, the first time I came to California, went to the Indio, and Indio Reggae had the Indio, and they had that no jerk down reel. So I didn't know if it was like Canada where they had to hit on their back or, if you just jerk down or what. So I went over and asked Andy, this jerk down reel out here, he said, is it like Canada where you got hit straight on their back? He said, son, if you got a horse good enough to jerk one of these sorts of bitches down, I'll give you 10 seconds. Worry about it.
Yeah. He had a ranch out there where they filmed a lot of the old westerns and stuff, Well,
it's right next to the Disney Studios.
Really?
It was, they have a big place out there where they call it Disney Studios.
Yeah.
Kind of their outdoor studios,
Yeah.
Wasn't one in town. But anyway, he had a little thing out there. It was an oil company owned that land.
Right.
One time, and Andy had a place on it, and he had a lifetime deal on it where he just lived there for as long as he lived.
They filmed a lot of old westerns and a lot of old western TV shows and stuff out there.
Oh, yeah, all around there.
Yeah.
Well, see, Gene Autry's place was just right down the road from it.
Right.
The old Melody Ranch.
Yeah.
It was right down the road from where Andy Reggie was.
Huh. I
bet it was there on Placer. Both of them was on Placer Canyon.
Yeah. And I think Fat Jones, Ben Johnson's father-in-law, I think he was partners with Andy early on, and he moved right up the road somewhere and had his boarding stable and stuff right up there somewhere.
I think his place, I don't know, I can't remember. I think it was in Sylmar where his boarding stables was.
Okay.
We got a card in the back that says North Hollywood. That's all it says.
Yeah.
Well, it probably was North Hollywood. Well, it might have been North Hollywood right in there.
I bet it looks a lot different out there now where those places were.
Oh, yeah. It's not like the old Randall Ranch. I mean, it's gone, where they used to have all the wagons and they had barns, just rows of saddles in that barn. I've been in there, and I forget how many wagons are in this place. But I mean, there's just hundreds of wagons in there, all kinds of wagons and stagecoaches and everything in the world in there.
Wow.
They used to make their own wheels. Had a wheel dealer where they made their wagon wheels. Made their own wheels. And then they had harness shop in there. They made harnesses and stuff. And they had every kind of saddle you can ever imagine in this place.
Huh.
And I guess right before I got there, they used to have trucks that come in there just all the time, the day and night, just bringing horses in from locations, and trucks going out to locations and taking them to boats and shipping them overseas and everywhere. I mean, it was a big operation.
Wow.
The Randall Ranch deal was. I went to their dispersal sale where they sold everything, and it was amazing. I mean, they sold, when they went out of business, they sold all that stuff.
I think Lonesome Dove is the best thing they ever put on film, myself. Talk about your work on Lonesome Dove a little bit, Kenny.
Well, Robert Duvall's one, through Wilford Brimley. I knew Robert through Wilford Brimley.
Uh-huh.
I got one. And anyway, Robert Duvall tried to get me on that damn picture. And he wanted me to play that guy, that Cooper character that chased his wife across country.
Oh, yeah?
He wanted me to do that part. And they would never bring me in for it. And so finally, when they was getting ready to film it, this casting lady called me one day and says, "Kenny Call says, I need to get you in this movie." I said, "Okay." So anyway, I guess he was really pissed at him because they didn't even, wouldn't even read me for anything. And so, of course, I didn't get that part. But anyway, they finally wound up giving me just nothing, a little part on it. But I did get a part on it.
Yeah, you played the deputy. For people might not know, you played the deputy that was up there in that third story or whatever it was when old Blue Duck jumped out of the window.
Yeah, that's one of my highest compliments I ever had in the movie business. After we did that scene,
uh-huh.
I'm standing there by Tommy Jones. Tommy Jones standing there, and Blue Duck's in there. Frederick, of course, he's sitting in there, and we're doing this scene. And after we get that thing shot, I walk outside, and Frederick comes up to me and says, "I want to thank you." And I said, "Well, you're the only one in there that gave me anything to play off of, my emotions and everything.
Right.
I played my whole scene. I played my whole scene off of you."
What'd you do? Give him a dirty look or something?
Well, I just give him the emotions,
Yeah.
to play off of, the reactions that that he needed, I guess. But that was, I thought, really a high compliment, for an actor to thank you for giving you something to play off of.
Wow.
So that was like a big compliment to me.
Oh yeah, it would be.
I think if we done a poll through the whole Western world, Jimbo, about greatest Western of all time, I think Lonesome Dove would come out on top.
I think so.
What's your favorite Western of all time, Kenny?
Well, I mean, I like Lonesome Dove, but to mine, of course, is Cattle Annie,
Yeah, it was a good one.
I know I had a bigger part in that one. But
My girls loved it.
Did you have a sense? Did those people around Lonesome Dove? Did they have a sense of how big that was going to be, or were they just working just another show?
They just doing another show.
Yeah.
They just done another movie. It's not, they've done so many of them. Most of the people have done so many of them. They just
Did you ever do any of those celebrity deals with Ben Johnson?
did every one of them.
Did every one of them? I thought you did. Okay.
I did every one of them.
Who's some celebrities that could rope pretty good?
Could rope.
Or could not rope. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Could just ride a horse, didn't fall off the horse.
Well, and most of them could rope. Ethan Wayne, one time we was at Scottsdale at doing one of the celebrity things, and had Ethan Wayne over there. And John Wayne's son. I got to know Ethan pretty good. Right. And so I'm standing there talking to Ethan. And Ethan, of course, I mean, he can't even go off a rope, and they set him up on his horse and hand him a rope. And he runs out there, throws his rope up there and falls and bounces around out there. And we're standing over by this car when he comes back over, and we're standing there in that little grandstand there. So people, Ethan says, "God damn," he says, "I can't believe." He says, "Can you believe all these people there can't believe that I'm John Wayne's son?" And I said, I just kind of looked at him. I said, "Are you sure you're not adopted?"
A lot of people might not know, Cody, that he played the kid in Big Jake.
Oh, okay.
He played his grandson, but he's really his son. That was Ethan Wayne in Big Jake.
Did you ever see a celebrity accidentally rope one and be like, "Oh my gosh, he got one caught. Yeah. Now what's he going to do?"
Right.
Oh, yeah. That boy that used to be on that show that, what's his name, the Northern Exposure? The Indian kid on that show. What's his name?
I'm picturing him, but I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name.
You know what I'm talking about. He's a good kid. Good guy. Worked at Lazy Either one time. And I think he's from with JD. And so anyway, he goes out there and he'll this deer. And he just, he can't swing his rope, but he throws it out there in the air and it falls out there in front of this deer. And the horse turns around and is going the other way. I think he's tied on anyway. JD drives that deer through and picks up 2 high feet on this deer. Still slaying there on the ground. That was a funny one, but I'm trying to think the best rodent I could kind of rope would be, of course, he wasn't, Terry Leonard, he could rope, but there's a bunch of the people there.
Well, Alan Keller told us he used to go out and rope with James Caan all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to rope with James Caan too. Yeah.
I saw a picture the other day of Patrick Swayze riding around on a gray horse with a picking string around his neck, like he's just fixing to tie a calf or steer. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I think he did. His dad roped carriers, I think, didn't he? Patrick Swayze.
Well, I don't know.
Something I'd see. He was riding a gray horse and he had a picking string on and a rope. So.
I think his dad roped carriers. He's from Texas or something. And I think his dad roped carriers. Wow. I never did see Patrick rope, but I mean, he had his dad roped carriers, I think.
Yeah. Did you ever do much stunt work, Kenny?
Not a lot. I basically did little stunt parts. So I guess Terry Leonard, he gave me the most stunt parts to do, do a little line, and fall down or something,
Right. That stunt work was kind of dangerous, or could be, especially back in the early days.
Well, you'll be, I never did consider myself a stuntman.
Right. Yeah.
What about that time Ben Johnson and Harry Carey Jr. did that Roman riding race? Holy moly!
Yeah.
Well, Harry didn't do it, but Ben did.
Okay.
Ben said he rode the horse. They doubled Harry on it, but Ben actually did the horse riding. He did the actual deal.
I mean, that was really something to watch.
Yeah, it was. Sure.
Well, Ben told me, I asked him about that, and he said he actually did it.
Nowadays, they probably wouldn't let anyone besides Tom Cruise do their own stunt like that. Afraid they might slow down the production, probably.
Well, I know when I first got in the business, Ben, he told me first time I did a movie, he says, whenever you do one of them movies, he said, when you're doing that movie, he says, you forget about your cowboy deal. He says, because you get hurt, then you're screwed. He says, and then they won't ever hire you anymore.
Yeah.
So, but anytime I have a question or anything like that, Ben tell me what to do and how to say it.
He sure seemed like he liked kids a lot, as far as he would just give the shirt off his back to a kid that needed it.
Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson, yeah. All his pro celebrity ropings and cuttings that he did.
Oh, yeah, Ben was a good guy.
Maybe because he didn't have any kids of his own, Might have been.
Well, I got John and Benny Bob.
Yeah.
And married. There's always those kids.
Yeah.
Did Benny Bob ever tell you about the time he did the stunt in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where he jumped off the cliff?
No, I don't think he ever told me that.
It's only one of the most famous stunts in Hollywood history. I figure he might have told
Oh,
you.
well, I don't think, did he go off that waterfall?
They jumped off the cliff. He's one of
Yeah, he might jump. No, I don't. I forget now. Terry told me he jumped off that waterfall. Terry Leonard, he's a stuntman.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard anything about him, but
Yeah, I've heard of him. What about Yakima Canutt? You probably heard some Yakima Canutt stories, haven't you?
I met Yakima one time. Terry took me over. Actually, went over to his house.
Wow.
Pretty neat. I sat there in that house and I sat there and had this old saddle. One was 1918, one was 1919 up there on the deal, and a couple old Shapses, back in Pendleton deals.
Right.
And but Yakima, he's a pretty neat guy. He didn't talk about the past. He didn't talk about the past that much or anything. But he went over Terry. He went over and Yakima was chewing his ass out because Terry did that in what the movie was it? Stagecoach or something. That movie. Terry went underneath the wagons, got run over.
Right.
And he got run over. And anyway, so Yakima was giving him hell for not having but Terry took the spacers out between the horses.
Yeah.
And Terry took that out because the driver said he couldn't handle them. And so he took it out, and the horses jerked Terry loose, and the wagon run over him. So the doctor was giving him shit for not doing it right. Anyway, we're sitting there, and this is going on, and I'm sitting there looking at them saddles. I thought, God damn, all of a sudden it dawned on me, this is the man that won these saddles in 1919, or whatever it was.
Right.
But there's a deal about Yaks. In this little room we was in, he had one picture of an actor in there. And you know who it was? I couldn't believe it. It was Joel McRae.
Yeah.
He was the only actor he had in his house. I don't know. He may have had some other pictures there somewhere I didn't see, but in this room we was in, he only had that one actor, Joel McRae, in there.
I'll be darned. He was kind of a cowboy, wasn't he, Joel McRae? Didn't he have horses and ride pretty good?
Oh yeah, he was in. He could ride a horse and everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, my girlfriend, she grew up. Joel McRae used to come to their house and eat supper with them and lunch with them all the time. So he said back when she was a girl, she never even really knew who he was. He just somebody'd come by the house and eat with him.
Were you ever around Harry Carey Jr. much?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I was around him some, not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Yeah,
his dad was a famous actor too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Carey, yeah, he is real famous.
And his mom acted too. She was in The Searchers and a few movies.
Yeah. Well,
His dad.
You know, at the end of that movie, where John Wayne.
Yeah.
You know where John Wayne was standing at the end of that movie. He reached over and grabbed his arm.
Uh-huh.
That was a Harry Carey deal. He did that tribute to Harry Carey.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Did you ever meet old John Ford?
No, never did meet John Ford.
What about, did Ben Johnson ever tell you about the time he went to Japan with Casey Tibbs on that Wild West?
Oh, yeah. Clyde Van Forest.
Yeah.
He said that was the wildest trip he ever. The craziest thing he ever did was take Clyde Van Forest and Casey Tibbs on that trip.
That Clyde guy, he was quite a fighter and rowdy, pretty rowdy, wasn't he?
Well, me and Clyde was real close.
Well, I've heard a lot of stories about him.
Well, we used to bulldog. I used to bulldog down at Aubrey Rankin, where I learned to bulldog.
Yeah.
And Clyde was there a lot. Me and Clyde got to be good buddies.
Yeah.
Clyde was a good guy. I mean, he was really a good guy.
Yeah.
Wilder than hell.
Yeah, wild.
Wildest. Oh, he's crazy. He's wild. Anybody with him wilder than Clyde Van Forest, but a good guy.
There was a picture in Rodeo, one of the rodeo annuals, I've got it, where he was all beat up. He'd got into a bar fight or something the night before. His head was swelled up, eyes swelled shut. And he rode his bareback horse the next day. Maybe won, I think.
Yeah.
He was
One year at Phoenix there, he got in, some old boy hit him, knocked him. He slid across the barroom floor there and slid up there and hit the bar, and he raised up and he says, "Anybody get the number of that truck?" The funniest Clyde Van Forest story I think I got on you is he was when he was married to Kay there, and they was living in Ranelette, Oklahoma, right across the river from Burbank, from Burt Lancaster. Anyway, Clyde was in Mesquite, and they called him on and said, "Your house is on fire." So after he got off his bareback horse, he jumped in his car and was going up through there, running real fast up through there, and the cop pulled him over. He said, "What you hurrying?" I looked at him and said, "You're not going to believe this," but he said, "I'm going to a fire."
Yeah.
Yeah, Clyde was his character.
Yeah, I bet that was quite a trip over there in Japan with him and Casey Tibbs.
Oh yeah, Ben said that was the worst trip. He said well, I guess Casey and Clyde, I guess they was on a train deal or something somewhere. They was going back up to this other town. They loaded up on this train to go back up there, wherever they was going. And anyway, the conductor come to Ben and said, "Hey, you got to buy some tickets here." Clyde and Casey got these hookers on the train with them.
Oh, boy. Boy, somebody ought to write a book of Casey Tibbs stories. He could fill it up, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah. That one story on Casey where he switched the U-Haul trailers. Did you ever hear that story?
No.
Yeah, I asked Casey about it. I thought it was in Kansas, but it was in Wyoming. Anyway, there's a Little America there in Wyoming. Not the one in Cheyenne, but the one out there by Rock Springs, where it was. Anyway, he says, he was out there, and he says, he's sitting there in this deal, and these two cars pulled in. They both had U-Haul trailers, same size. Behind them, they parked out there side by side.
Yeah.
And Casey said, "I don't know why I did it." He said, "I went out there, I switched those trailers." And he said, "Went back in there, and one went west, one went east." And they left there. He said, "I don't know why I did that for you." I felt bad about that later on.
He just couldn't help himself.
I know it.
Don't you know those guys got surprised when they went home and when they got to where they're going, open up the back of them trailer?
Yeah, Casey said he felt bad about that.
Yeah, I bet he did.
I got you a good Casey Tibbs story there at Lazy E there at one of them benefit deals.
Yeah.
Oh, Casey come over to me. He says, "Come here, you got to help me." Ben was complaining about his shoulder hurting. He says, so we went over to, and he said, "Now you got to back me up on this." So I went over there and he got talking to Ben about his shoulder hurt. He said, "I got a Remy here to really help it." You know, of course, Ben would look at him kind of cross-eyed, like he knew not to believe him, you know.
Right.
And I backed him up. I said, "Oh yeah, it works good." So anyway, Ben got off the horse, and so Case got this WD-40. He went spraying his shoulder. Ben was going to take his shirt off. Case said, "No, it worked good through the shirt." So he just sprayed his whole shoulder with WD-40. And of course, it just soaked that shirt full. And so Ben knew he'd been had, you know.
Right.
So Terry had been complaining about his shoulder hurt. Terry Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
So here we go. We go over to get Terry's. So we got Terry over there. So now the three of us are over there. So Terry wouldn't have went with me and Casey. He wouldn't have done it. But Ben backed him up. Said, "Oh yeah, I said, mine started to feel better." So Terry went for it. And Casey just soaked his shirt too, and wound up blistering both their arms.
Oh boy,
They sound like he's such a character.
such a character.
Oh, Casey, he's notorious. You know.
They said he was the only guy in the world could walk into Fort Knox with a gunny sack and come out missing his billfold.
Well, the first time I ever, I kind of knew who Casey was, but I never did really know him. I gotta go down. I got a tractor guy down there. I'm gonna walk down and see what he said. He yelled at me. We can keep talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, Casey, he went there to Cheyenne, or he come riding down there to the rope and shoot. He or one of the pickup horses. He come riding down there and says, "Did the battery go dead?" No, battery works. It was working yesterday. Oh, it was spinning yesterday. And now,
Never fails. Tractor battery dead.
did you pull the thing out? Can't get it to turn over. The battery's not fucking working. The battery's not fucking working. The jump box is dead. Okay. Not plugged in. Why isn't it plugged in? Well, I don't know. We've been using it. I mean, it was fun yesterday, real good. Well, plug the fucking jump box in so it's there, so it's ready when I come out. Okay. I go all the way in the fuck back in. So yeah, I'll be back. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me get my dogs back in. Blue, Coda! Yeah, there's all kinds of shit going on here.
Yeah.
Blue, Coda, come here!
Sounds like in our house.
Yeah.
It sounds like our day-to-day life at my house, Jimbo.
Yeah,
What about yours?
Typical day.
The other day, look the goddamn jump box back in.
Yeah.
Hell, that goddamn tractor spun yesterday just like crazy.
What are you thinking about
We
not
wouldn't
leaving
start.
that jump box plugged in, Kenny? What the heck?
I don't know. I'm no mechanic. I don't know shit.
I'm just good at tearing stuff up, Jimbo.
Me too.
Welcome to my world out here.
Yeah.
What do you do out there in California besides that, Kenny? Just rope and don't plug
Well,
in
I did rope
jump
for a while.
boxes
I finally quit roping. Because of hell. I couldn't get on a horse.
Ooh.
Yep.
I went to get on one a while back. You like this story? It's a funny story. I went down. This little girl was at a youth rodeo deal. So I go down there, and I'm standing there holding her horse. And he says, "You can sit on him, jump to." I said, "Okay." So I went to get on him. She had them little aluminum stirrups on that damn saddle. Every time I jumped in, he's kind of a tall horse. And every time I jump up there, I hit that damn stirrup. And stirrup move, I couldn't get on him. So I finally embarrassed myself. I just waited there, everybody kind of laughed, and I led the horse over the fence, crawled up on him.
Yeah.
Damn, I tell you, it's hell to get old.
That's how Ike Rude used to do it when he got old. He was still trying to rope. He'd lead him out of the arena. He wouldn't let him see him on a step ladder or nothing, trying to get on his horse.
Right. Well, I can feel for him. I know what you're to.
He was about 5'5", though. That was most of his problem.
I met him one time.
Do what?
I met him one time. He's sitting in the car. And, was it Buffalo Palm? I went up there and
Yeah.
I said, "You went over just to meet him and said hi."
Yeah. He's quite a guy.
I never really knew him. I just met him.
Sure.
They said he's about as honorary as Casey Tibs, really.
He might be. I don't think he's that bad.
You know, one of the best ropers I've ever seen is out of California, Jimbo. Pure roper, rope anything, head, heel. He can rope steers, rope calves just as good as any of them. Kyle Lockett. Man, that guy can rope anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's just one of the best pure ropers I ever seen, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's my number one guy from California.
is he?
Well, besides you, Kenny, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Kenny, if you were making a Mount Rushmore of actors that could ride a horse that were real cowboys, who would you put on it? Need 4 names.
Ben Johnson, Joel McRae, Doug McClure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Burt Lancaster could ride a horse pretty good too.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
He was a good athlete.
First movie. Well, yeah, when I did that movie Cattle Annie with him, he first shot we had, horses. We had to run out of this building like our getaway,
Yeah.
And so the director says, "Now you be sure to stay up there with Burt so you can stop his horse." So I ran out there and I caught him. I mean, I had hell catching up to him because I had to help everybody kind of get going.
Yeah.
I took off kind of late and I was trying to catch him. I caught up to him. He was pulling that horse up. Shit, he could ride good.
Huh.
And so I asked him, I said, "God damn," I said, "You ride pretty good." He said, "Well, Yakima Connects taught him how to ride."
Ooh.
Wow.
He said, when he came out there, he said, back then, the studios, controlled everything. He said, every day, he said, we'd study acting, we'd fence, shoot, swim, and do all this stuff, and do lines. And he said, then I think 2 or 3 times a week, they'd go out and ride horses.
Huh.
And Yakima taught him how to ride, he said.
Well, I'll be knowing. Do what, Kenny?
Go ahead. A lot of them old actors could ride.
Yeah, I bet.
You're not going to throw John Wayne on that Mount Rushmore?
John Wayne, I don't know. I never saw him ride or anything. I know it was really around John.
Yes, sir.
That's a pretty good list.
I'm sure
Another guy.
I'm sure he could ride.
Another guy was Dale Robertson.
Yeah.
He could really ride.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, you go back in the older days and some of them old actors, hell, that's, Joel McRae, he come from Gary Cooper, I guess he could really ride because he come from Montana or somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
Him and Walter Brennan, they came out of Montana and together, I think, didn't they?
Yeah,
I understand.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to say they could probably ride too, The people that I actually knew was, like they said, Doug McClure, Ben Johnson, and that was about it.
I think Doug McClure came back to Pawhuska one time with Benny Bob, if I remember right.
He did. He did. He married an Indian girl one time there, didn't he? He married an Indian girl from Pawhuska.
Probably, yeah.
Somewhere back in there.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah. Doug was a really good guy.
For those that don't remember, Doug McClure played on Virginian. He was Trampus on Virginian.
I went and saw him in the hospital right before he died.
Yeah.
He was in the hospital in Burbank. And he was right before he died. I went up there and saw him.
Yeah.
Johnny Joe said Ben Johnson was the best horn roper he ever saw. What do you think about his horn roping?
Yeah, he could rope. There's no question about it. Yeah, he could really rope. Once in a while, we'd rope a dummy or something. He'd rope a dummy, cracking on the horn. He'd say, "Man," he said, "if I could rope like that on a horse, that'd be great."
He
told me a story back. He told me a story about when he went back there and roped the Pawhuska and steer roping.
Yeah.
He called Joe to you. So I bet you got to come back here and rope on my horses before I let you rope on ride them. So he just went back there to torment Ben. Ben went back there and he said, Joe had, when I drove in there, he said he had like 20 head horses tied up. He said I had to rope on every one of them. And the time I got to that rope, he said, I was so goddamn sore and tired, I couldn't hardly get up.
That's something I always admired about him. He didn't get to practice much. He's busy, and then he'd come back here and rope to Ben Johnson and borrow a horse and do pretty good. He won second one year.
Yeah, that's the year I think he won second. And he said, Schultz made me ride every one of them so he had tied up out there.
Yeah.
They said he never missed a steer in this arena in Pawhuska.
Yeah, okay, I can believe that.
They kept track of it all those years. Anytime he'd come back and rope.
Right.
Well, Kenny, we sure appreciate you talking to us today.
Well, I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
You got any big movies coming out here in near future or television commercials to keep an eye out for?
No, nothing. I did that one. Last one I did was that electric truck deal, and that ain't no more.
You know, you were just a little bit before my time before I remember much, and I've always really looked up to you my whole life, and everyone's always told me what a great guy you were and what a great roper you were.
Well, I just got lucky a few times. I can say.
When will this come out, Cody? Will it be this Thursday or next?
Yeah, probably this one.
Okay. Watch for it.
Where do you watch for it at?
Well, it'll be on Facebook, or you can get it on YouTube, Spotify. You're on Facebook some. So,
Apple.
Yeah. Just watch for it on
all forms of it comes out everywhere you can listen or watch a podcast, Kenny.
The Cowboys of the on Facebook. We're called the Cowboys of the Osage, and we've got our own page. And,
okay.
And I know you've commented on it before, so I know you'll see it.
Yeah,
Okay, I probably will.
You'll probably get some calls from some old buddies.
Yeah.
You know, the most famous thing that I got to say about all my rodeo careers, I started in the late 60s, right out of high school in the RCA rodeo. So my fortune, my claim to fame is I got to know a lot of them old cowboys from the 50s. Those champions and legends and stuff, you know.
Right.
So I feel very fortunate in my life that I got to know, you know, people like Everett Shaw and Choate Webster and, you know, Casey Tibbs. And, you know, I got to know a lot of these old famous cowboys.
Yeah,
and actually,
holy moly.
You know, Toots Mansfield, you know, I got to actually sit down and eat supper with them in their house, you know.
Yeah.
I feel very honored. You know, Owen, he helped me a lot in my roping career.
Yeah.
Jimbo said he's the best roper he ever saw, Olin Young.
Yeah, I always tell Cody Olin's the best roper I ever saw.
Well, Owen was yeah, he was. There was no question about it. He. Well, Owen, first year I roped steers, and I never forget. I was in Lovington, New Mexico. He wrote up to me. He said, "I need to tell you something about tripping steers." And I said, "Okay, great. Tell me." He said, "I'll tell you when you can understand it." A year later, he told me how to do it.
Well, all right. We appreciate you doing this, Kenny.
Oh, I appreciate doing it. Well, you see, you got to hear a little bit of everything in me.
I love
tractor
it.
Tractor guy cussing me out for a tractor.
I love it. We had a horse trade happen right in the middle of one of them one time. So.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, we've had everything happen.
We've had a little everything.
Well, there you go. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Kenny.
Come see us. Holler anytime, man.
Okay, bye.
We'll see you. Bye.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody next week. And it's been a great one. One of my favorite ones ever, Jimbo.
A real good one.
All right. See y'all next week.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.